in order to defend itself, which we call servants.
Okay.
Sound familiar?
I understood that reference.
Trying to get to Akasha, aka the goopy galaxy timey-wimey place, find a way around it. With me.
I am.
Good. If you're already confused, may I introduce to you the phrase everyone in the Fate fandom holds in the highest esteem as the holiest words in our gospel.
What?
Don't worry about it.
You nasty.
Talk about Sage, man. I'm behind the cam. We're here for the gigguk reaction. The Fate series in 30 minutes. So the Fate series, gigguk talks about a lot, makes a lot of jokes, a lot of references too. I've tried to watch maybe one Fate series back in my heyday of my largest anime binge, which might have been, I don't know, I want to say somewhere between 2009 and 2014. I don't even know. But Fate is just a series I hear about, I see memes about. I hear about this character named Saber, blue and gold swordsman, supposed to be the hero, some shit like that. And gigguk makes, like I said. Anyways, I say all that to say, this is my first foray into the Fate universe. I think Fate Stay, Fate Zero are some things I've heard before. I don't know what the whole correct or technical name is, but that's all I'll say. I have had people in my chat tell me, hey, Fate series is underrated. It just depends which storyline or which timeline or which universe line you happen to watch or read or whatever. I don't know. But I am excited to jump into this. This should be interesting to say the very least. I'm excited to really delve into the Fate series. This will be unlike most of my other reactions where I'm a yapper, generational yapper, yapping with the best yappers to ever yap on this face, man. On the face of this planet. But I might be a little bit more quiet on this because I actually want to take in the information and kind of get an understanding of what the hell we're looking at, what the hell we're dealing with. So if I seem quiet, you know, I'm just trying to learn or keep up. Because anytime you have to do a 30-minute video for a series explaining its different characters and timelines, I feel like this is just as crazy as, I don't know, like a Steins Gate freaking debunk video. Like, it's just gonna be a lot of numbers and a lot of names coming flying at you. Speaking of which, I should find one of those. We'll see. Anyways, into the video.
Expansive franchises in all.
Is that a thigh behind him? Oh my god.
Games, anime, manga, light
there's
novels,
games.
novels, spin-offs. It's probably one of the most daunting franchises for any newbie to try to get into. A little while ago, I made a joke skit called Trying to Understand the Fate franchise, based around how confusing the entire thing looked for an outsider looking in. And satire aside, it was based on many real-life conversations I've actually had with Fate fans trying to explain the franchise to newcomers. And every time that happens, I always hear, do you want the long version or do you want the short version? Because everyone asks for the short version, but even the short version for an outsider can seem like a convoluted mess of information. Thought you were going to give me the short version. This is the short version. But ever since I made that video, because no one ever actually asked for it, I've always wondered to myself, what is the long version?
Oh my god. I really regretted my decision. I fucking love it.
Originally created by Kinoko Nasu, what started as just a single eroge visual novel was turned into a multi-billion-dollar franchise with more media than any sane person can wrap their head around. I mean, just look at all this shit.
There's just no way.
How many there is? There's at least 5. So it can be easy to forget how and why people became fans in the first place, that many newcomers may even forget to ask, what is Fate even about?
Yeah, what are we doing here? Oh, that's her.
The basic premise revolves around a bunch of mages who can summon heroic spirits from Earth's real history or legends to do battle over the Holy Grail, a mythical wish-granting device in what is called the Holy Grail War. Basically, it's a bunch of mages spending all their V-Bucks to organize the ultimate Fortnite, Apex Legends, fucking Minecraft, Hunger Games, Battle Royale between all your favorite people from history and legend.
Okay.
To create the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny. God, I hope my audience isn't too young to understand that reference. And the Holy Grail War, it's just basically Nasu going, what?
The Holy Grail War is just Shotty's fighting. That thigh is so distracting.
Let's just cut the video there. That's all you
The
need to know about
stalking.
Fate. However, the background and lore of the entire Fate universe is unimaginably deeper than that. So much so that every single spin-off, anime, manga, novel, every single piece of Fate's media takes place in
my
a coherent
lord.
universe fitting somewhere on a grand timeline, which is also shared with Nasu's other works, creating this grand
What?
universe known only as the Nasuverse. So you know
Oh
what
my
I thought would
lord.
be a good idea? What if I tried explaining the entire Fate timeline? Keyword being thought, implying it was me in the past tense. It was a shit idea. Explaining all
It's
the
a
Fate
shit
lore
idea.
and
Yeah, I
timeline in
see.
detail would take hours and hours. I mean, just look at some of these wiki pages. This isn't a wiki page, it's a fucking light novel. Saber lore.
Oh
That
my
time some slag
lord.
upon threw a sword at me and I accidentally became the fucking King of England. So this is more like the
Dead.
long, short version. Or is it the short, long version? Or is it the medium version? It's an excuse to justify all
Medium.
the countless hours I've put into this hellhole. Obviously, there is going to be spoilers, but I'm going to try and keep it focused on the lore and universe and where every series fits in the timeline, rather than what actually happens in any individual series. So,
Fair.
hopefully it won't spoil your experience too much if you decide to walk into hell with us. So, with that said,
Doubt
let's
it.
start explaining all of Fate. It's not too late now, Garn. All we have to do is just turn the camera off and delete the file and no one will ever have to know.
That's what I was thinking. The Fate timeline in a nutshell.
You
The
see that,
biggest
Gigguk?
fucking nutshell you've ever
That was
seen.
GIGGUK 3 months ago. I've been putting off
3
filming this for
months?
3 fucking months. Just kill me now. Ah, 3 fucking months. This is my dissertation all over again. Hello and welcome to my TED Talk.
The shoes.
Introducing the Fate timeline, I'm going to be cosplaying the most powerful servant in the history
I
of
love
the
that they're
Fate
backwards.
timeline. Steve Handjobs. But before we get to the Fate timeline, there are a few core concepts we need to bang out first so everything makes sense. Firstly is Akasha. See, Fate exists in this grand world of magic and mages where you can summon heroic beings from the past, present, and future, and all this derives from Akasha. What is Akasha? See, Akasha is this metaphysical place that exists outside of time and dimensions that is the source of all events and all the souls in all timelines, and I like using big words to make me sound smart.
So it's basically kind of
everything
heaven.
that's ever happened and everyone you know, you can thank Akasha for it. 2020 as a whole? Thanks, Akasha.
Thanks, Akasha.
Chug Fortnite remix. Thanks, Akasha. That one time in class you thought you had a silent fart, but you ripped out a fat one and everyone heard it and stared at you, and your brain still reminds you about it every time you're about to sleep.
Thanks, Akasha.
Fuck you, Akasha. So
The bit.
timey-wimey stuff. This is more like wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, goopy galaxy, diddly dimension, rickety reality stuff. Where every timeline and every reality exists at the same time, meaning there are no spin-offs, every fate is canon, life is a line, yes, that smutty dojin of Minamoto going ada on the order is canon in some timeline. You can't prove me otherwise. Are you with me? Good. This
Barely.
is important because the end goal of every mage in the Fate universe is to find a way to reach the root of Akasha. But Gigguk, why do all mages want to find the root of Akasha? Well, I'm glad you asked, probably confused viewer.
Yes,
I
very.
really hope you're not confused right now. This is just the beginning. Well, this would be a good time to talk about the magic system that exists in the Nasuverse, because as we all know, in this universe,
Hyrule Temple
mages
music.
exist and use magecraft, aka
Okay.
magic. Right?
No.
Wrong. Incorrect. Erroneous. Mistaken. I can't think of any more words off the top of my head. What are you, an idiot? Why would anyone assume that magic and magecraft are the same thing? Look at this guy. Typical man that can't tell the difference between
Who
magic
drinks
and
like that?
magecraft. No. You got magecraft, the weak sauce imitation butter. Ooh, I can't believe it's not magic. And then you got the Chad true magic. This is the top tier gourmet shit. This is the shit real mages want to use.
Yeah.
The kind of shit Gordon Ramsay has to taste off and goes, finally.
Some good fucking
Magic. But this premium shit
Magic.
can only be achieved by mages who view Akasha. And once someone
Okay.
gets that magic, that path to Akasha is cut off, and then the magic can only be used by the direct descendants of that original mage. Basically, no one has
Okay.
real magic, and they're trying to get to the root of Akasha so they can stop using the peasant dollar store magecraft shit. Oh man, what if the third magic was
okay.
just the power to create fate porn? But what's stopping
Ooh,
mages
I'm
from getting to this mythical
look that
place
up.
called Akasha? Well, you have this thing called the counterforce. This is kind of like a safety mechanism that stops the world from going extinct because the Earth is actually alive and has a will, and don't worry about that right now. And the counterforce
What?
itself is made up of 2 parts. The collective unconscious will of humanity itself to survive, Alaya,
Okay.
and the will of the planet itself, Gaia,
Okay.
online. Why is this important? Because the counterforce has powerful defense mechanisms, like being able to summon heroic spirits from Earth's history in order to defend itself, which we call servants.
Okay.
Sound familiar?
I understood that reference.
So it'll intervene anyone trying to get to Akasha, aka the Goopy Galaxy timey-wimey place.
Okay.
And they just have to find a way around it. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Are you with me?
I am.
Good. If you're already confused, may I introduce to you the phrase everyone in the Fate fandom holds in the highest esteem as the holiest words in our gospel.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Fate State Night sharing a nice wholesome meal instead of trying to brutally murder each other? Don't worry about it. How do reality bubbles work? Don't worry about it. What is the moon? Don't worry about it. No, please don't worry about it. Please don't ask me what the moon is. I'm not gonna fucking talk about the moon. To recap, you have Akasha, the timey-wimey, goofy galaxy, rickety reality place that every age is trying to get to, so they can use the top-tier, gourmet, true magic.
Got it.
The only thing stopping them is the counterforce, which they have to try and find a way around.
Got it.
Did you get all that? This is all the background information you need to know before we start the timeline.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ, we haven't even started the timeline yet. You know, originally I wanted to visualize the timeline physically by having things stuck against the wall strung together with a string or something like that, like that Always Sunny meme. But
that's exactly what I was thinking.
I realized I don't have a wall big enough. So that's why I'm using the green screen. Definitely not because I want to rip off Nakey Jakey. Now starting right at the beginning, before any mages, before any servants, before any Holy Grail wars, you have the Age of God. So yeah, apparently right at the beginning of Fate lore, there was this period of time where gods roamed the earth with man, mythical creatures existed, and I shit you not, physics apparently just wasn't a thing. Yeah, apparently this thing called mystery governed the law of the world, which I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
In my head, some ancient humans trying to let go of an apple, and physics tries to drop it, and mystery's like, no. We do not do that here. And then the apple just flies off to fucking Narnia. But everything changed when the Sepher Nation attacked. Or just Sepher. This next time period is called Deterioration. This titan called Sepher invaded and destroyed most of the world and was only beaten back by this mighty sword called Excalibur.
Of course.
The gods weaken a bit, mystery starts to wane, and physics is like, yo, is anyone gonna drop that apple? Which takes us to separation. So the gods are a little pissed that they can't go down to Earth anymore because they're so weak, so they make Gilgamesh, who's 2/3 god. Because
demigod
don't give a shit about maths apparently, with the intention of making him the keystone to connect the gods and the humans. Now for anyone not familiar with the Fate verse, how can I explain Gilgamesh? You know that one meme, is this some peasant joke I'm too poor to understand? Imagine if that meme was reincarnated as a person. That's Gilgamesh. So yeah, he decides to rebel and the gods were like, no. This guy doesn't want to take orders from us. No, come on, you're joshing us right now. This is a prank. Come on, where are the hidden cameras? I'm on MTV Punk'd, aren't I? And so with that, the gods cannot interfere with humans anymore.
Damn.
And thus begins the Age of Man. From the year 0 AD, the human population explodes, magic and magecraft is replaced with science, and most importantly, physics exists now, guys! Yeah!
Oh my god, physics exists now.
I was meant to buy a party popper, but I completely forgot to. Alan, can you edit a party popper in this video, please? Thank you. That's right, screw your mystery.
Yeah, I think he looked like he was just jerking off the air.
Remember right at the beginning of this video when I said the Fate franchise was about this thing called the Holy Grail? Well, we can finally start talking about the Holy Grail. See, the Grail is touted as this omnipotent, magical, wish-granting device, and that's only partially true. See, around the 1800s, these epic magic gamer girls, called the Ironsburns family, figured out a way to...
Not the exact gamer girls.
That place that gives you true epic gamer magic. By using the Holy Grail to summon 7 heroic spirits and then sacrifice them, and using that mana to summon an even greater Grail called the Greater Grail, which has access to the root of Akasha. But of course, all the various gamer girls and boys couldn't agree on who would actually get access
to fucked up.
So they decided to have a meeting
to decide. I need to get this straight. A family basically summoned the Avengers, the 7 greatest heroes of history, murdered them, used their mana to summon a better wish-granting machine, and then used that wish-granting machine to summon the core of magic. Okay, don't worry about it. I got it.
One could even say that it was a magic. The Gathering.
Ha!
They
Stupid!
just call this the Holy Grail War. Which finally leads us to the timelines to all the wars so far. Oh, I can't believe I flunked world history and I'm about to recite the entire history of some fictional war that happened. Okay, so you got like the first Holy Grail War, which happened around the 1800s. This is when the three main mage families, the Einsburns, the Toesuckers, and the Matos, couldn't agree on who could get access to the Grail. So they were like, guys, we've got a bunch of servants lying about. Tournament arc, tournament arc, tournament arc, tournament arc, tour! This was hardly what you'd call an actual war though, and more like a 3 AM brawl at the local mage pub, which ended because everyone got bored and time ran out. Then came the second Holy Grail War in the 1860s with the same parties involved, but this time everyone went a bit fucking mental because everyone died, nobody won, and future generations were like, wait a minute. You need rules? What the fuck is a Geneva Convention? Then came the third Holy Grail War in the 1930s, where the church gets involved because they're just like,
of course they do.
Are you using the term Holy Grail? God, are we allowed to copy strike that? And everyone's happy with that because they can enforce the rules. So the church is like, all right, gamers, I want a fair fight. No going for the eyes, no kicking below the belt, and for God's sakes, no summoning any illegal servants. So then the Einsburn summon an illegal servant. And so they get this
summon illegal servant
called Angramayu, aka the Angry Mango, who's meant to be this super badass, ultra OP new servant that auto wins in the war, except lol, JK is actually super weak and dies, and is literally so angry he gives the Grail food poisoning. Then we got the Holy Grail War, which is basically just the events of Fate Zero. I'm not going to spoil what happens in it. And finally, we have the Grand Sugar Daddy that birthed everything we're talking about. The 5th Holy Grail War, aka the events of Fate Stay Night. Following Shiro fighting in it using the power of friendship and fucking, mana transfer.
Whoa,
and this CG dragon still haunts my nightmares. What's important here is that this war has at least 3 different timelines because the original Fate Stay Night was a visual novel with 3 different routes. You got the Fate route, Unlimited Blade Words, and Heaven's Feel. Or, to put it more simply, you got the Saber route, the Best Girl route, and the Sakura route with extra fucking, mana transfer. But it doesn't stop
Give me the
there,
mana
because
transfer.
next we got Fate Hollow Ataraxia, which is kind of like a sequel to Fate Stay Night because it takes place 6 months after the events that happened in there. So you may be wondering which one of the 3 routes it follows, and the answer is...
all of them.
Yes. So one of the main girls in Fate Stay Night, Rin, is doing some magic experiments, and she does a little bit of an oopsie, and completely fucks up the space-time continuum.
That makes sense.
Parallel universes together, and I know what you're thinking. This doesn't sound like a little oopsie. This sounds a bit more like a big oopsie.
Like a oopsie daisies.
So we're following this mage Bazette who was dead off screen in the original Fate Stay Night, and she is now alive along with Angramayu, aka the Angry Mango. And they're stuck in a Groundhog Day type time loop, living the same 4 days over and over, and she has to find a way to escape without fading from existence because she was originally dead, and I guess people die if they don't exist. Since most of this takes place in a time loop, this is basically just Fate Zero Edition. So you can
that makes
call
sense.
it Fate Zero.
Except,
and you know what? That's
there's already a Fate Zero.
Fate series.
Wow.
Get it, guys. That was pretty simple, right, guys? What are we missing? Fuck. Of course, we are going to have to fill this timeline in with all the other Fate media out there. So let's do the time warp again. Oh my god. Alan, fucking cut that. Alright, so let's start with Fate Apocrypha.
Keep it.
The Fate Apocrypha timeline is exactly identical to the original timeline, except when we get to the 3rd Holy Grail War, where the timeline was like, you know what? Nazis. Because of course it's the fucking Nazis. So the Nazis joined the 3rd Holy Grail War, and instead of there being a winner, the Nazis steal the Greater Grail system. And so after that, a Transylvanian Nazi mage guy steals it from the Nazis again, and then I guess the Nazis go on to lose World War II as usual. Fast forward to the future, and somehow the entire world finds out about the Greater Grail system, and everyone and their dog tries to make a cheap imitation of it. And so because of this, the Transylvanian Nazi sorcerer guy vows to make the Holy Grail War great again.
What?
So he makes the Great Holy Grail War. I shit you not, this is what it's called. And so now instead of 7 servants, you have 14 servants separated into 2 teams, red and black. That's right, It's a team deathmatch.
Team deathmatch.
Team deathmatch.
Stab it!
And so we get a season of red
Look,
versus
hurry
black,
up.
Mordred is hot, and a stealth will make straight guys question their sexuality, and gay guys question their sexuality, and gay girls question their sexuality, and me question my life choices for spending $400 for a dick. That concludes the event.
Oh
of
my
Endless Day
God.
Night. Next on the menu, we have today's menu for Emia family.
Oh my God.
Did you see what I did there? This is, I think, just another alternate ending to the 5th Holy Grail War, where I guess nobody dies and they all just sit around cooking and playing volleyball and being happy, and this is canon, okay? They never
It's
explain when
canon?
this takes place on the timeline, but I don't care. They're all happy. Akasha made it. It's canon. Like in my mind, this is the reality when someone just tried playing the Fate visual novel, but got bored 5 minutes after reading words and then just left. And never came back. And then all these characters are just sitting around having a gay old time waiting for the Holy Grail War to start.
Oh my
This is what
God.
happened. This is the reality where Sea-Dog VA tried to play Fate. Alright, so
Sea-Dog
I'm gonna make a
VA.
Fate Stay Night bubble, and then I'm gonna put Fate Tiger Coliseum and Fake Unlimited codes in this bubble, because they're just fighting games and they're already beating the shit out of each other in the series anyway, so I guess these are just the filler episodes we never got to see. Then we got Fate School Life, which is kind of like a slice of life spin-off from the Fate Stay Night
What?
universe that also has Ataraxia characters in it, so I guess it goes, yeah, can you tell how I'm sure I am right now? Lord Elmaloy's Case File.
He's like, you tell
This is
sure I am
basically
right
just
now.
CSI magic that takes place after Fate Zero but before Fate Stay Night, starring Fate Zero's Waver. Except Waver's gone from Daddy Step on Me to oh.
Damn.
Step on Me, Daddy. Alright, now we get into the manly shit. Fate
The manly
Tuesday
shit.
Khaled, line of Prisma Ilya, is a spin-off where Ilya becomes a magical girl. And instead of
What?
summoning servants, the magical girls can use these magical cards to channel the power of a servant.
Okay.
And also there's a magical talkie wand, don't worry about it. Before I properly got into the Fate
What
franchise,
the
I thought that this
fuck?
was just an unrelated spin-off that had nothing to do with the main universe, but no. Not only does this directly diverge from the main timeline,
Okay.
but it has two separate universes within its own universe. It's a fucking
What?
Ilya multiverse. And the beginning of the Ilya multiverse doesn't even have Ilya in it. Oh god, I love you so much, Fate, but you just don't make things easy, do you?
Don't worry
I'm
about
trying to
it.
do my best, so the first universe is found in the movie Oath Under Snow, following this girl called Miyu, which is why we call this the Miyu-verse, because her name is Miyu and she's the child of God, don't worry about it. She's taken in by Shiro, and then they have another Holy Grail War, but not the usual Holy Grail War, but the Ainsworth Holy Grail War.
What?
Can you guess why it's called the Ainsworth Holy Grail War? Because it was made by the Ainsworth. Shiro then sends Miyu to an
It was
alternate
made by
universe,
Ainsworth.
which we call the Ilya-verse, which is all sunshine and rainbows, where the 4th Holy Grail War didn't happen and Kiritsugu's Father of the Year. You got cute girls doing cute things, cute girls doing magical things, and cute girls doing each other. This
Whoa.
is the universe where season 1 and 2 of Prisma Ilya happens.
Sir.
Then you have season 3, which jumps back into the Miyu-verse. And if you think that complicates the timeline, how about this little knowledge of nugget? So, in the original Fate Stay Night,
Oh my
Ilya
God.
is 18.
Okay.
She's 18. She's older than Shiro. But in the Ilyaverse, she's the same age as when the timelines diverge, which theoretically should make her the same age as she was in Fate Stay Night.
Okay.
She's not. And the series makes it very clear that she is under 18. So which is it, Fate? Which is it?
He slapped the fucking wall.
No, I would say don't worry about it,
Oh my lord.
but I'm pretty sure the FBI are going to do that for me. All right.
Yeah, they are.
Situation. Your Fate, also known as the Fate Extra universe. It's stuff from the Third Holy Grail War in the Angry Mango timeline, where all the world's mana dries up because some kind of event. So in the 2030s, all the mages turned into hackers and they tried to hack the moon because the moon has a supercomputer on it that was placed there by aliens that they found. And so inside this supercomputer moon,
yeah?
exists this entire digital world. And so the supercomputer moon is hosting a virtual reality Holy Grail War because it's actually alive.
There's no way that's
I
real.
don't realize how ridiculous this sounds until I read it out loud. Don't worry about it. So yeah,
Got it, buddy.
Shit, and you can hack the moon.
Hot.
It also has Rin, Sakura, and Kirei from the original Fate Stay Night, but not the original Rin, Sakura, and Kirei from the original Fate Stay Night.
What do you mean the original?
Stupid? They're
Yes.
just characters who look, sound, and dress exactly the same, but they're different.
Okay.
Are you worrying about it? Cause I'm not. So you got the Fate Extra games, the Fate Extra Triple C games, and then you got the anime. Fate Extra Last Encore in its own separate timeline that takes place in the year 3000. And Rin's great-great-great-granddaughter. It's just fucking Rin. Fate Grand Order. Oh god, you're not gonna make me break down Fate Grand Order. Alright. Now we're truly So Fate Go is a mobile gacha game along with some anime adaptations where the first Holy Grail War never happens, the world is fucked for some reason, and you have got to travel back in time to various points in history to fix the fucking timeline.
What the hell?
Fix is called Singularities. Basically, imagine Fate Back to the Future, except there are like 7 sequels, all with different diverging timelines, and you're not trying to fuck your mum. You're just trying to fuck all the servants. All right, so for simplicity's sake, I think it would just be easier if I just draw out the Fate Go timeline. And then here in its own corner, it's just Fate Prototype.
Second Tokyo Holy Grail.
The original concept for Fate, where King Arthur's actually a guy? Get out of here with your damn historical inaccuracies. So essentially, this is just a non-existent project because the only thing that exists is a 12-minute trailer that was made purely for fan service. Which is even more bizarre when you consider Fate Prototype Fragments of Sky Silver, which is the prequel to Fate Prototype. They made a prequel, a full light novel prequel, to a 12-minute commercial. Like, do they really think Fate fans are that hungry for content?
What?
A Type Moon just sitting there being like, all right, Fate fans, open wide.
Oh my god.
Content, give me anything. And then this prequel to a project that basically doesn't even exist has a side story called Fate Labyrinth.
How?
This is why Tsukahime fans are on suicide watch. You can tell that line was written months ago because, yeah, where the fuck did this come from? And all this would be a completely alternate universe with no connection to the original universe.
There's no way anybody understands this.
I shit you not, one of the characters has a dream that connects this universe to the Fate Stay Night universe.
He's supposed to support.
Alright, I think we're getting close to the end. Next is Fate Strange Fake. This is a light novel series that takes place after the 5th Holy Grail War in America, where they do their own Holy Grail War with hookers and blackjack, written by the same guy who did Bakano. As a recording, we don't know if this follows on from the main flagship timeline or is part of an alternate universe, but what we do know is that there's a servant called Watcher and it's literally just a fucking whale in the sky. I'm sorry, I must have missed the legend where a fucking flying whale
Just a fucking flying whale.
Does Free Willy count as a legendary hero of history?
Yes!
That's Fate Type Redline. It's Tokyo in the 1940s. Nazis are at it again, but this time so are the Japanese military. It's the third Grail War with seemingly no other connections to any of the Grails, and it's a manga drawn by the Demon Slayer mangaka. We got Fate Requiem. Not a lot about this is known right now because it's not been officially translated, but what we do know is that it's set in the future after some kind of Holy Grail War, and somehow everyone has their own Holy Grail. And also there's a new servant called Voyager.
That's massive.
The Voyager space probe, except I have no fucking clue how a space probe becomes a servant.
A space probe?
Let alone a blonde Shota boy. Let alone a blonde Shota boy space probe servant. And don't tell me to worry about it, because I'm not. Can you see how much I'm not worrying about it? I am not worrying about it.
Oh my god.
And finally, in a bubble, within its own fucking dimension, is Carnival Phantasm, where all the Fate characters and other characters from Nasu's other works are just hanging out, I guess. Doesn't make any sense. I have no idea what
Yo, I saw the boobies.
I think this is just a bubble reality where Akasha got fucking drunk. And that's it. That is the long version. Kinda. Oh, but gigguk, what about the rest of the Nazi verse? You gonna do that as well? How about no? Originally, this was meant to be a grand video where it talks about all the funny and ridiculous things I found out about Fate lore as a whole. But when I started it, I kind of realized I'm gonna need 20 minutes just to explain the fucking timeline.
Jesus.
So you know what? This may just be the first part in a multi-series lecture from hell. Because the worst thing about
multi-series lecture from hell?
After going through all the timelines, after connecting all the lore, after spending far too many hours consuming Fate media and reading pages upon pages of wiki articles, it kind of makes sense. Oh
what?
God, this chart actually makes sense to me. The entire timeline is actually the simplest part of Fate lore. Fate is just an all-encompassing whole that just gets darker and gloomier the deeper you go down.
Sir?
People wonder what's at the bottom of the abyss in Made in Abyss. It's just the fucking entrance to the Fate hole. You want the real short version Fate newcomers? You watch either of these two, and then watch this, and then watch whatever the fuck you want. Or you know what? Fuck all this. Start with the spin-off series. Start with lesbian lollies kissing. Start with Fate MasterChef. Fuck. Start with the doujinshis for all I care.
Yes,
ignore all the shitstorm going on in the comment section right now. The reality is, it doesn't really matter where you start. As long as it's interesting to you, then go for it. The problem is there's so many people who are obsessed with optimizing the perfect read and watch order that they forget that if you enjoy the experience and it gets you into Fate, then who the fuck cares what order you watch it in? Because look, aside, the Fate lore
Steingate's all over again
to unravel, but it is an awesome franchise. It's a series that can have amazing fights with balls to the walls action and magical moments that cut deep into your heart. And then Thomas Edison shows up as a lion. Because you reach the end of this video knowing nothing about Fate, and this is the video that's convinced you to give it a try. What the fuck is wrong with you? This got you interested in Fate? Oh god, why didn't you just listen to me the first time and go with the short version? You know what? Fuck this. I'm done. I'm not doing Fate anymore. I'm literally gonna go crazy.
Amazing.
You know what? I lied. This isn't even the long version.
I will not worry about it. That was Gigguk's Fate Stay in 30 minutes. The long short version, we're gonna call it the medium version. That was fucking intense. Mind you, I've done good in all my history classes, much better in Gigguk apparently. And even my ass was like, wait, what? The timeline actually makes sense. I actually can follow it pretty well. It's a matter of there's a lot of fluff that you don't have to read or pay attention to, right? As long as you get the gist of that there's gods, there's the place where everything is current, there's a counter force that prevents you from fucking with the main source of Mahal. You get a little bit of cheap access through magic craft, but nobody gets true Mahal unless you get to the bottom of it. The only way you get to the bottom of it is through the Grail. There's a regular Grail and then there's a greater Grail. The greater Grail will give you access to the juicy stuff. Got it. Servants get summoned by Magecraft to fight each other for their people to go get the Grail. Got it. The servants and the Magecraft people are not the same people. Now my question is, can the servant turn on the Magecraft person who summoned them and kill them? Or are they truly a servant as in they're bound by law to serve this person? That might be a spoiler. If it is, don't tell me. I don't want to know just in case I end up watching it. I like what he said towards the end. There's really only 3 parts that you have to watch and then everything else is kind of optional. Once he said that, I was like, thank God. Thank God. It's good to have a lot of this background so that there's probably a lot of fluff that I could just cut through if I ever end up watching Fate. There's probably moments that I would have been massively lost that I'll just be only a little bit lost now. That's also pretty great too. But at the same time, if I never watched this, don't be surprised because that was a lot. That was a lot. I see that it has a lot of opportunity. It even has its own part of it that plays on a time part on it itself. That's a sentence and a half. What do you want me to do with that sentence? That's a lot of words to try and put together and string as if it's somehow fucking coherent. But we tried to. Yeah, you hear that? That's fireworks, bro. That's how my brain is going right now. Every time he added another thing to that timeline, but I understand what happened. The first 3 or 4 great wars really are just talked about. I don't even know if they're showing. I don't know if they're like major plot points, but from my understanding, everything that's relevant or everything that we're dealing with starts from the 4th Holy War. There is, in the 3rd Holy War, there's some spin-offs. There's some characters from the 1st and the 2nd, or from Separation. You know, Sephiroth, Gilgamesh, to understand why the gods are separate from the world and why the servants have to come to the earth. Got that. Man, it's a lot. I actually picked up way more than I care to admit. Honestly, my ability to retain information is very fucking good sometimes. I really didn't think I'd remember this much. I understand how the degradation of the Separation began to happen. I understand the magic system, the magecraft. Some of the family names I definitely don't understand, but I understand enough to know that I saw villages, Uchihas, and I saw Romeos and Juliets and Capulets and Montagues all beefing because they want to be the master magecraft who has access to the goopy stuff, to the Wimby. It makes sense. Don't worry about it. We got this. Man, that was a lot. I know y'all in the comments, probably from gigguk, are gonna be like, well, technically this is the correct watch order, or this is what you might have missed. Did you not hear where he said technically this is all canon? If you made this far and you actually heard me say this stuff, yeah, I understand all that. But for me personally, as a very casual person, outside looking in, who knows, I'm not gonna play half of these games. I'm not gonna read none of those mangas, not a single light novel, not a fucking web page, not one PSP game. I'm not turning on my PS2, none of that shit. The only things I gotta watch is 3 things that I can consider, but I probably won't. Well, if you made this far, make sure you leave a comment down below. Make sure you drop a sub on the channel, like to go show gigguk's video some love, although I'm sure you watched that years ago when it came out. I'm your man behind the cam. As always, never forget, stay nasty and confused. It's fate. Don't worry about it.
You wanna go? Oh, right, I'm really fucking shaking, bro.